We touched on it a little bit, but workshop Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because workshop Saturday is actually a very well-known term in jump rope.
Hmm.
Can you kind of dive into the history of what a workshop Saturday is and kind of how that's been influenced and adapted to today's, jump rope culture?
Yeah. So, I mean, the workshop Saturdays that I really remember, I want to say the first one that I was a part of was the Bouncing Bulldogs workshop in 2004 or 2005. And that was like a big deal to me because I think that was one of the first like big workshops outside of like, let's say Indiana or Michigan, which, are just a car ride away. I mean, still, very exciting for me to be able to go and do that. But I think this was the first one where I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to work with this team. And if you don't know, the Bouncing Bulldogs are like about as close to a dynasty team as possible. Like when you think of
Mm-hmm.
the Bouncing Bulldogs, I mean, this might, light a fire, but you think of Duke or UNC. I know there's a big history of the rivalry there, but like you think of like Coach K and, or the other team I think of is like the Spurs with Coach Greg Popovich. And just the fact that consistently these are teams that it almost doesn't matter the person that's going through. It's about the coach and the organization and
Mm-hmm.
the lessons and the way that they're structuring things. So you can almost, I feel like if you're a good coach and team manager and somebody who can motivate and inspire people, you can take somebody who otherwise, would not be that great, and you can sort of introduce your system of coaching and working with them and make them just amazing. So yeah, when you think of the Bulldogs, at least for me, I think of, a dynasty team, a team like the Spurs or I think it's Duke. That's Coach K. Anyways, so I went to that one, and Workshop Saturday was, so you get in usually like Thursday night. Friday is a full day of school shows, and you're just like 4 or 5 school shows, and you're in a bunch of routines. You're sweating a lot. If the shows don't go that well, then usually at the end of it, I don't know if I should say usually, but I remember at the end, if the school shows did not go that well, it was usually Sean would make the entire staff run through the show in an empty gym and
Oh,
until it was
no.
good. Yeah, I remember. I don't know if that was Bulldogs or if that was Forbes Flyers workshop, but we had one day of school shows on a Friday. The shows were not great. We might have had one that was okay. The rest were just like bad. Like we did not represent the sport very well. So we finish our fourth or fifth show. We go back to an empty gym and we ran that show. And I think whenever there was a miss, we would go back to the beginning of the show.
Oh,
And
wow.
eventually it started to turn around. And if people were missing a lot, it would just be, well, simplify. Like if you're missing on a trick, the audience doesn't really know what they're seeing. Like they don't know the difference between, maybe they'll notice the difference between a double and like a quintuple, because there's, you're jumping so much higher, but
Right.
they're really not going to know the difference between a double, triple, quad, a toad versus inverse toad versus EB toad versus elephant. Like they all sort of start to look similar. So you're missing, you simplify. Anyway, so that was pretty intense. A whole bunch of shows. If they're not great, then you're running through them again to nobody. And then workshop Saturday was always, Saturday morning you get up. Workshop usually starts around 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and you're just teaching all day. And it doesn't matter, how good you are or what, all, the things that you've done in the sport. Like nobody cares about that. They don't care about what you've won or the places you've gone. You are there to teach, and you are there to be a role model to young kids that are looking up to you. And so, a lot of the people that are at these camps, these are like, when you think of somebody like, Nick Woodard or Shane Windsor or Jeff, like these are like LeBron James of the sport. These are like Serena Williams. And when you're at that workshop, you are teaching, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter who you are, or what you've done. There's no room for any sort of ego. And there's been stuff in the past where people sort of have a big head about who they are, and they get called out for it. It's like, no, you are here to inspire the next generation of jumpers. We don't care about what you've done. You need to take the knowledge you have, because you've been given countless opportunities to learn and to travel and compete. And you're going to, spread that to the next generation. And that was always a big deal of like, it's like it's a responsibility. Like you're there, and you owe it to the sport and to the next generation of jumpers to give everything you have.